Hey, it's time for an apple fritter. Here's your host, Jimmy Apple.
Welcome to another episode of An Apple a Day's The Fritter. I'm your host, Jimmy Apple. What is a T.I.A. or a mini-stroke? A transient ischemic attack is a temporary period of symptoms similar to those of a stroke. A T.I.A. usually lasts only a few minutes and doesn't cause permanent damage. Often, it's called a mini-stroke. A T.I.A. is a warning. About 1 in 3 people who have a T.I.A. will eventually have a stroke, with about half occurring within a year of the T.I.A. A T.I.A. can serve as both a warning of a future stroke and an opportunity to prevent it. Symptoms: a transient ischemic attack usually lasts a few minutes. Most signs and symptoms disappear within an hour, though rarely symptoms may last up to 24 hours. The signs and symptoms of a T.I.A. resemble those found early in a stroke and may include sudden onset of weakness, numbness, or paralysis in the face, arm, or leg, typically on one side of the body, slurred speech or difficulty understanding others, blindness in one or both eyes or double vision, vertigo or loss of balance or coordination. You may also have one or more T.I.A.s, and the recurrent signs and symptoms may be similar or different depending on which area of the brain is involved. When to see a doctor. Since T.I.A. medical attention immediately following a possible T.I.A. is essential. Seek medical attention if you suspect even that you had a T.I.A. Prompt evaluation and identification of potentially treatable conditions may help you prevent a stroke. Causes. A T.I.A. has the same origins as that of an ischemic stroke, the most common type of stroke. In an ischemic stroke, a clot blocks the blood supply to part of the brain. In a T.I.A., unlike a stroke, the blockage is brief and there is no permanent damage. The underlying cause of a T.I.A. often is a buildup of cholesterol-containing fatty deposits called plaques, atherosclerosis, in an artery or one of its branches that supplies oxygen and nutrients to the brain. Plaques can decrease the blood flow through an artery or lead to the development of a clot. A blood clot moving to an artery that supplies the brain from another part of the body, most commonly the heart, also may cause a T.I.A. Some risk factors for a T.I.A. and stroke can't be changed. Others can be controlled. Risk factors that you can't change. You can't change the following risk factors for a T.I.A. and stroke, but knowing you're at risk can motivate you, can change your lifestyle to reduce other risks. Family history. You may be at greater risk if one of your family members have had a T.I.A. or a stroke. Age. Your risk increases as you get older, especially after the age of 55. Sex. Men have a slightly higher risk of a T.I.A. and a stroke, but as women age, their risk of a stroke goes up. Prior transient ischemic attack. If you've had one or more T.I.A.s, you're much more likely to have a stroke. Sickle cell disease. Stroke is a frequent complication of sickle cell disease. Another name for this inherited disorder is sickle cell anemia. Sickle-shaped blood cells carry less oxygen and also tend to get stuck in the artery walls, hampering blood flow to the brain. However, with proper treatment of sickle cell disease, you can lower your risk of a stroke. Risk factors that you can control. You can control or treat a number of factors, including certain health conditions and lifestyle choices that increase your risk of a stroke. Having one or more of these risk factors doesn't mean you'll have a stroke, but your risk increases if you have 2 or more of them. High blood pressure. The risk of a stroke begins to increase at the blood pressure readings higher than 140/90. Your healthcare provider will help you decide on a target blood pressure based on your age and whether you have diabetes or other factors. High cholesterol. Eating less cholesterol and fat, especially saturated fat and trans fat, may reduce plaques in your arteries. If you can't control your cholesterol through dietary changes alone, your provider may prescribe a statin or other type of cholesterol-lowering medication. Cardiovascular disease. This includes heart failure, heart defect, a heart infection, or a heart rhythm that isn't typical. Carotid artery disease. In this condition, the blood vessels in your neck that lead to the brain become clogged. Peripheral artery disease, or PAD. PAD causes the blood vessels that carry the blood in your arms and legs to become clogged. Diabetes. Diabetes increases the severity of atherosclerosis, narrowing of the arteries due to an accumulation of fatty deposits and the speed with which it develops. High levels of homocysteine and elevated levels of this amino acid in the blood can cause the arteries to thicken and scar, which makes them more susceptible to clots. Excess weight, obesity, especially carrying extra weight in the abdominal area, increases the risk of stroke in both men and women. COVID-19. There is evidence that SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19, may raise the risk of stroke. Lifestyle choices. Cigarette smoking. Quit smoking to reduce your risk of a TIA and stroke. Smoking increases your risk of blood clots, raises your blood pressure, contributes to the development of cholesterol-containing fatty deposits in your arteries. Let me stop right here. That is not just cigarettes. That's cigars, that's pipes, that's smoking weed, that's smoking crack, that's smoking anything. That also includes vaping. Physical inactivity. Engaging in 30 minutes of moderate intensity exercise most days helps reduce the risk. Poor nutrition. Reducing your intake of fat and salt decreases the risk of TIA and stroke. Heavy drinking. If you drink alcohol, limit yourself to no more than 2 drinks daily if you're a man and 1 drink daily if you're a woman. Use of illicit drugs. Now, this should be without saying, but avoid cocaine and other illicit drugs. Prevention. Knowing your risk factors and living healthfully are the best things you can do to prevent the TIA, including in a healthy lifestyle are regular medical checkups. Also, again, don't smoke. Stopping smoking reduces your risk of TIA and stroke. Trans fat in your diet may reduce buildup of plaques in the arteries. Eat plenty of fruits and vegetables. These foods contain nutrients such as potassium, folate, and antioxidants, which may protect against TIA or a stroke. Limit sodium. If you have high blood pressure, avoiding salty foods and not adding salt to food may reduce your blood pressure. Avoiding salt may not prevent hypertension, but excess sodium may increase blood pressure in people who are sensitive to sodium. Exercise regularly. If you have high blood pressure, regular exercise is one of the few ways you can lower your blood pressure without drugs. Limit alcohol intake. Drink in moderation, if at all. The recommended limit is no more than 1 drink daily for women and 2 a day for men. Maintain a healthy weight. Being overweight contributes to other risk factors such as high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, and diabetes. Losing weight with a diet and exercise may lower your blood pressure and improve your cholesterol levels. Don't use illicit drugs. Again, this is a sin that we even have to say this, but don't use illicit drugs. Drugs such as cocaine are associated with increased risk of TIA or stroke. Control diabetes. You can manage your diabetes and high blood pressure with diet, exercise, weight control, and when necessary, medication. It's a matter of taking care of your health. So there you have it. All right. I want to thank you for stopping by today. And I hope you checked out our podcast educated, autistic, and neurodiverse. We'll be back again tomorrow, and I want to remind you, looking at things from the bright side never caused anyone any harm. And do yourself a favor, be the reason to make somebody smile today. You've been listening to an Apple Fritter. My name is Jimmy Apple. I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Have a good one, my friends.
Join Jimmy tomorrow for another Apple Fritter. In the meantime, stop over at our YouTube group page, Living with a Disability, join in the conversation and make some new friends. See you next time.